Hey, what's up, band kids, young and old? This is Russ, also known as RK Slade, here with another drum corps video. It's been a crazy week, so I haven't had time to dig into every single competition, but the big news tonight, July the 7th, is a shakeup in the leaderboards for our unofficial top 12, but we are going to talk a little bit about each competition that went on tonight. Let's dive right in and talk about Crown Beat from Columbia, South Carolina. We have in the top three, Carolina Crown scored a 79.200, almost breaking into that 80-point club. The Cavaliers not too far behind with a 76.900, and the Cadets only 0.2 of a point behind in third place with a 76.700. Now, that'll come into play a little bit when we talk about our unofficial top 12 in just a few minutes. Rounding out the top six are the Boston Crusaders, Spirit of Atlanta, and Jersey Surf. Moving on to the Rockford, Illinois Show of Shows competition, we had in open class Music City taking first with a 59.600, almost into that 60-point club, and Legends at 58.000. In world class, we had the Bluecoats, who have been dominating all season long, take first with a 79.300, and the Santa Clara Vanguard with a 78.600 in second place. In third place, we have Phantom Regiment with a 73.400. The Academy, Troopers, and Pioneer round out the top six. Now onto our Drums of Fire show from Hillsboro, Oregon. In open class, we saw the Colombians take the field for the first time with a score of 53.750, and that was good enough to put them in third place. Golden Empire took first, and the Battalion took second place. In world class, the Blue Devils upended the Bluecoats in the unofficial top 12 scoring with a 79.950.
What?
So close to being in the 80-point club.
Yeah!
The Blue Knights took second place with a 72.950. Oregon Crusaders 63.400 for third, and the Cascades with a 62.400. I don't have time to go over all the shows from this week, kind of sneaking around while my wife and kids are in bed, but let's talk a little bit about the rankings and movement. If we go back, I've got a spreadsheet. If we go back to the 3rd of July, we see the Bluecoats, who are in that number one position with a 78.300. Now, they have increased their score up to a 79.300. So we see a 1-point increase for them to hang on to that top three position for sure. Carolina Crown is just 1/10 of a point behind the Bluecoats with a 79.200, which puts them at third place on our unofficial top 12, which means that in the top spot for the first time this season is the Blue Devils, 79.950.
Boom, baby!
We mentioned that earlier. They've got their foot in the door of the 80-plus point club. On my last video, I asked, who do you think would break into the 80-point club first? And most everybody said it would be the Bluecoats. Now, depending on what we see in the next few competitions, it could be the Bluecoats, the Blue Devils, or Crown, and possibly Santa Clara Vanguard if they take a big leap. What I mentioned earlier was that 0.2 of a point difference between the Cavaliers and the Cadets. And what they are fighting for is 5th place. Cavaliers right now have a 76.900, and the Cadets have a 76.700. Man, that's close. The Boston Crusaders are 2 points behind with a 74.450, and Phantom trails by just a point with 73.400. The Crossmen are at 72.500. Rounding out the top 10 at 11th and 12th are the Blue Stars and the Scouts, who are duking it out for that 11th place spot with a 71.800 for the Blue Stars and a 71.400 for the Madison Scouts. And I think this season we are not being let down. There are a few bumps and bruises and hiccups along the way that maybe we haven't fully agreed with each show. I like to focus on positives, and so let's talk about the positives. In third place right now in our unofficial top 12 is the Carolina Crown. Now, we've talked about it before, and I've commented this on a few of the comments down below. Whether you like it, love it, hate it, or are indifferent to the Carolina Crown vocal section of their show, you have to admit that it moves you. Now, moves you isn't always in a positive direction. Successful art, if you will, if you can even set a bar for what successful art is, it pushes you in a direction. And so sometimes it makes us comfortable, nostalgic, winsome, sentimental. Sometimes it takes our breath away, it's majestic, and it wows us. And then other times it makes us uncomfortable. It challenges us, and it grates on us, and it sharpens us to a degree. And in this case, I think the great performance by Carolina Crown's vocalist, I think it's moved a lot of people into an area of uncomfortableness. And it's not because it's not a good performance, it's just because we're not comfortable with the type of performance that we're hearing. If you take a few minutes just to sit and think about it. Why? Why don't you like it? It's not because it's bad, because it's not bad. It's great. It's actually very well executed. Carolina Crown has achieved what they set out to do by putting art onto the field that has caused its fans to be moved in one way or another. So let's talk about the Bluecoats. The biggest criticism that I hear from the Bluecoats is that, hey, they're doing the same thing. But to me, that's not necessarily a negative. Obviously, the judges have believed that the Bluecoats have got what it takes to really be that dominant force this season. They are not coasting in the status quo because they created the status quo last year. What they're doing is they're continuing to grow and to move in the direction that they established last year. Last year was a springboard, and we're seeing this year the rise or the upward momentum of that spring. Kind of curious to see where they land, if it's something different than last year and this year, but positively, we can look at what the Bluecoats are doing, and we can see almost perfect execution in their vision, and that's a success. Now, let's talk about the Blue Devils. A lot of people don't like the Blue Devils because they're so successful, because they win all the time. A lot of people don't like the Blue Devils show this year because there's nothing crazy or groundbreaking about it like what we saw with Bluecoats last year, or what Crown is doing this year. But see, the Blue Devil show is a celebration, an homage, if you will, to who they were, to who they are, and to who they might become. And if you just sit and watch the show and really, really take it all in, you can kind of feel that. It's just a really cool show. So that's my opinion, subjective, of course, about these three top core. I know it's easy to nitpick about the negatives, but my challenge for you guys, for you band kids, young and old, for you DCI fans, is to not only major on the minors, but to try and find some things about each of the core that just really resonate with you. And you may have to sit with it for a while. You may have to take some time. I'm getting all deep and philosophical, maybe because it's like midnight. So you get to see a side of me that maybe you don't see. I should be asleep, but I'm like waxing poetic and philosophical. But anyways, I really appreciate you guys supporting Marching Band is Awesome here on YouTube. The views and the comments and the likes and the subscribes have just made my heart happy, and I appreciate it. I mentioned it on the last video, just a moment of silence for the Phantom family. Basically all day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even today, just a continuous outpouring of love and support from all of the drum corps world and the marching band world to the Phantom family, or family with a PH. Marching band and drum corps is awesome because you're awesome. Hey, as always, if you like these videos, smash that like button. If you like drum corps and marching band videos, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. And definitely comment below. I love to engage with the subscribers in the form of comments. This is Russ, also known as RK Slade from Marching Band is Awesome, and I will see you on the next video.